All right, and away we go, gang. So I first came across this material 20 years ago. I was working in a factory. We had 3 departments in the factory. Each department made different transmission bands for cars. So in an automatic transmission, there's a bunch of gears and there's bands. When the bands close on the gears, it changes how they go. So if you picture gear sets, so if you stop one, it changes all the direction. So in our department, there was me, I ran production. We had 2 mechanical engineers and a quality engineer. And me and the quality engineer always butt heads. And then we all went to this training together, and it was like, oh, I get it. Now I understand why you're such a meathead. And he's like, I understand why you're such a meathead. So what we're going to cover tonight, I think you'll find very useful. And you will see this material several times over in your life. What I found is we're going to talk about 4 personality styles. And we're going to use what's called DISC is the model we're going to go through. But I've seen maybe as many as 10 different models, and they're always 4 different personalities. Some have them as animals, but the social is the golden retriever. I think the driver is the otter. In my opinion, people change the names so they can sell their book, but it's always 4. So we're going to do some cool stuff. I work for a very driven, no-nonsense, nuclear busy boss. And I would go into his office and just come right out, and my coworkers would say, you go in there and you get whatever you ask for. What are you doing? So by the end of this class, you'll know what I was doing. I'm going to check my camera one last time. Last month, I got halfway through the class and realized I didn't turn the microphone on. So we didn't get video last month. So now I'm all worried about the camera. So for the rest of life skills, I'm going to be worried that the camera's not back on.
I guess that's a good thing because you're pulling your crazy on me.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we open up in a word of prayer? Lord, I lift up these young people. Give me the words I need to say. Help them to pick up some nuggets tonight to help them to be more successful. We just ask you to give me the words and help me get the message across. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, a plug from the snack maker. Guys, you gotta RSVP. Cindy works all day on snacks. Gotta RSVP.
I don't.
Or Cindy will get her crazy on. All right, we're going to talk about how do we gain the winning edge. We're going to talk about how to talk to different personality styles. Because you know what's funny about human beings is we are so shallow. We like people like us. So we're going to learn some techniques to make other folks feel most comfortable. So examples would be if you go before a scholarship board where you have to interview for a scholarship, you can use these techniques when you go in for an interview, when you're pitching an idea to your parents, to your siblings. You'll use it in the workforce. If you go into sales, you'll use it a great deal. It helps in marriages. A lot of marriage counseling will include this stuff. I was listening to 94.7 and they had a gal that wrote a book on marriages, and she was talking about all this stuff. So very, very useful. So what are we going to do today? The purpose of our class is to improve our ability to identify different personality styles and then to learn how to best communicate to them. What's the golden rule? What does the book of Matthew tell us the golden rule is?
Do to others what you would have them do to you.
Right. And what do we want others to do to us? Is we want them to treat us the way we want to be treated. Really, right? Because we're all just that shallow. oftentimes you go to a restaurant and you really click with the waiter, the waitress. It's often because they're a similar style to us, right? And the ones that are most distant from us are the ones that grate on us the most. And it all has to do with how we want everyone to behave and to treat us the way we treat others. And this will become more clear. When I was working on my master's degree, I took an interpersonal effectiveness class. And we were about a year and a half into the 2-year program, so we all knew each other very well. And one of the things that they had us do in this class is we had to take this test that scored us on our personality. And we lined up from low score to high score. And the professor said, on this one end, look down there, those folks irritate you, don't they? We're all like, yeah. And then those folks irritate you, don't they? Yeah. It's because we were farther apart as far as our personalities. Isn't that interesting? This will make a lot more sense here in about an hour and 15 minutes. So there's a fella, man, he is ancient. He's still alive, he's still teaching. His name is Brian Tracy. He's a personal success / sales guru. He has a saying, he says the difference between top performers and the rest is not very much. So I'll give you an example. In 2018, Kentucky Derby. When does the Kentucky Derby happen? Anybody know? May. Happens in May. So the first place horse won $1.24 million. Second place, $400,000. Third place, $200,000. You know how much separated first from second place? Take a guess.
Foot.
In time, it was 61 seconds. Oh, wait a minute. 0.61 seconds. The difference between top performers and everyone else, they do things just slightly different. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is that crazy? And just for the record, they don't measure the difference between the first and the second in time. They do it by lengths. I think that's of the fence post. Mm-hmm. So I actually ran the video and timed it on my phone, just saying. That's what I do for you guys. So today we're going to learn the characteristics, needs, and fears of each personality style. So for your personality style, you'll learn your needs and fears. And what's cool about this information, you can use it for good or for evil. When you know what people's fears and needs are, you can just tweak them. So if Luke gets on your nerves, you're going to have some ideas just to tweak him out. We're going to learn how to pick up different clues so that we can identify the different styles. And then we're going to talk about some strategies to best communicate with these different styles. We're going to even listen to some actual phone calls. Disclaimers. Many of us use DISC-like, and the program we're talking through today is DISC. But again, they're all 4 personalities, and when you look at them, they're all 4 same personalities. This company came up with the acronym DISC, which I'll explain. So many of us use this DISC-like techniques naturally. Not all of us do. Some of you do not. And DISC works in all relationships: home, church, jobs, interviews. So there are 4 personality styles. So according to the company that came up with the DISC, theirs is dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. That makes no sense, right? What does consciousness mean? What? I mean, we know what it means, but for personality, what does that mean? We're going to make it easier for us. We're going to talk about the drivers which is the dominance, the socials, which is the influence, amiables. Amiables are the go along, get along, they don't rock the boat, right? They're great people to have around. And then analyticals. So we're going to talk about, instead of disc, we're going to talk about the disc. Disc is a little easier to say, isn't it? And then let me just stress these 4 personalities. There's none that are good or bad. Different is just different. It's how God created us. And if you think there's a problem with that, you take it up with God. Just make sure I'm not around in case you get hit by lightning. Disc is a language. If you don't know it, it's a foreign language to you. Like any foreign language, it can be learned. The best way to learn is to practice. And if you lose it if you don't use it, right? So we're going to look at characteristics first. So this is the boring part of the presentation, but we have to get through it. So let me tell you the different characteristics, needs and fears. Bear with me. After the class, I'm going to put this up on the Christian Homeschoolers of Castle Rock website. I suggest you download it because I suggest that you use it. There will be times when you want to use this thing. You should use it all the time, but like if you're going into an interview or something, it'd be good to brush up on this stuff. So, characteristics of the dominance personality. What's the easier word instead of dominance? You guys remember? Driver. Excellent, Abby. So the drivers or the dominance characteristics. They're very direct in communication. They're just going to tell you what they're thinking. They're not going to beat around the bush. They're not going to soften it. They like to be in control. That's really important to drivers. They want the factual highlights. They don't want all the details. They just want the highlights. Boom, boom, boom. They have a tendency to make quick decisions. They're concerned with the bottom line. They don't want to see every detail. They want to just get to the bottom line. They tend to move at a fast pace. They're oriented towards goals. They're impatient with people moving at a slower pace. So when I first did this program, when I was in that factory, we all had to take the test, and I'll give you some resources at the end. You can actually take the test to see where you score on the test. But then we sat down with some HR person, human resources, and they reviewed it with us, and I remember distinctly this person didn't work in our factory. I don't know where she came from, corporate or something. She said, I bet you're impatient with people that move at a slower pace. I'm like, yes! I was like, how do you know? You don't even know me. Yeah, I was like so impressed. Hello. There's only 4, and that's one of the key characteristics, right? They have a low tolerance for feelings and attitudes. They're not really concerned. They can be opinionated and aggressive, and they're very willing to accept challenges and risks. So needs, they need to be in control. They need achievement and results. They need to save time because everything has to be action, quick pace, quick decisions. Their fears are losing control and being taken advantage of. So some examples of drivers are Darth Vader. Does Darth speak pretty directly? Is he concerned about people's feelings?
Concerned about Luke's.
What's that?
Concerned about Luke's allies.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
Gimli. Who's Gimli? Yes, sir.
He's at war.
In
Hi.
Lord of the Rings. Right on. Good job, Caleb. Buzz Lightyear. Does Buzz Lightyear move at a quick pace? How about when he was in the toy store and all the other Buzz Lightyears were there? You know, he's like all freaking out. Shrek, Donald Trump, General Patton. Who's General Patton? Say again? World War II, right? He got in a lot of trouble in World War II for speaking his mind. He went into a hospital, and there was someone that didn't have any physical injuries in the hospital. He was just shell shocked. You know, we now call it PTSD. They didn't call it that back then. General Patton said, "What's wrong with you?" And he's just like, "I can't take it." It's like, "So you don't have any injuries?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I emotionally can't take it." General Patton hit him and almost got fired from the whole war because of it. That's just an example of a driver, right? Not big on the feelings, took some quick action, right? Spoke his mind. Then we have influence. What's the other name for influence?
Social.
The socials. They are very direct and supportive of others. They're friendly, enthusiastic,